In this video, we're going to create a sales pop-up notification like this without using or installing Shopify apps. Stay tuned for that. Before we start this video is sponsored by Shopify. I'm just kidding, it's not sponsored, but thank you for sending me this t-shirt. It's really cool. So in this video, we're going to create the following sales pop-up notifications. So we're going to divide this into 4 sections. The first is using the Toastify Js. It's a JavaScript plugin that allows you to create a toast window. And then the second is creating the schema settings to use products. And then the third is creating JavaScript code to use the Toastify JS so we can display the product's sales pop-up notification. And then the fourth is, I guess, designing it. So with that being said, let's start by using the Toastify JS. So open your browser and go to the following GitHub repository. I'll put its link in the video description below. And then you can just scroll down and then we can start by using the following CDN links. That's the CSS and then the JavaScript CDN. So let's go back to our Shopify store admin page and let's open the online store. And let's open the theme code editor as well as the theme editor or customizer page. So open your customize window in a new tab and then the theme editor. So select the actions and select edit code. Open them in a new tab. And then let's open the customizer and we should have here a sales pop-up notification section that allows us to create the blocks. So let's open the theme editor and open the sections folder right over here. Create a new section. And let's just call it sales-pop-up-notification. Notification. Create that file, and here we'll just change the name of the section to sales pop-up notification. Save it, and then let's open our theme.liquid here in the layout folder. Open that, and then let's scroll down until you reach the opening of the body tag. So right over here. So look for the opening of the body tag, and then inside of it, we're going to create the section tag. So section, and then we're going to reference the sales-pop-up notification. So make sure that's the name of your section file, okay? Make sure they close the section tag. Save it. And you can now close the theme.liquid. You don't need it anymore. And then let's open our customizer page and refresh the page. And this time we should have the sales pop-up notification section. There you go. So as you can see, now we have the sales pop-up notification. So the next that we're going to do is to create the blocks so we can create or use the products of our Shopify store. So go back to your theme editor. And then here, underneath of the settings, we're going to create the blocks. So create the blocks, and then for its value, make sure it's an array. And then inside of this array, we're going to create an object, basically. So create a set of curly braces, and then inside of this, we're going to create the name. So name of the block, we'll set it to product, and then underneath of it, we'll set the type. We'll just call it sales hyphen, or you know what? Yeah, sales product hyphen pop-up. And then underneath of it, we're going to create the settings. And then inside of the settings, it's supposed to be an array. And then inside of this array, we're going to create an object. And then inside of this object, we're going to create the settings. So here, create the type. We'll set it to product. And then for its ID, we'll set it to selected product. And then underneath of the ID, make sure that you set the label. So label. And then for its value, you can just call it product. Save your section file. Go back to your customizer page. Refresh the page. And this time, our section should have a drop-down button. You can just click that. And now you can add a product. So if you click the add product button, you can select a product. And you can select a product. So let's just select one product. And I'll select this one. Select that, and you can add another one, or you can just select another product, and I'm going to select another product, and I'm going to select this one. Select that and hit save. And now our sales pop-up notification section should have the following blocks. So now that we have the relojio. You know what? Let's just call them clocks or watches. So now that we have all of those products, we can just use them and display them using Liquid. So go back to your theme editor, and above the schema, the first thing that we're going to do is to use the Toastify Js. So open the following page, and we're going to copy the following CDN links and go back to your theme editor and paste that just over here, and do the same thing to the JS file. Go back to your section file and paste it underneath. And then after that, we can create the script. Make sure that you close it, and then inside of the script tag, we can use the Toastify function. And then we're going to use the to show or show toast. Show toast. And then for this Toastify function, we'll just give them or give it a parameter. So create a set of curly braces, and then we'll set the name or the text, supposed to be text. And then we can just give this a string value of someone bought this item. Just an example, we're going to replace that later on. And then after that, we'll set its duration. So duration, and we'll set it to 3 seconds. So it's supposed to be 3000. And then next is the destination, and it's supposed to be a string. And then we'll just leave it empty for now. And then next is the new window. We'll just set it to true. So basically, new window, it will open a new window if you click the toast. And then next up, we'll set its avatar to an empty string. So this is going to be the image of your product. And then underneath of the avatar, we'll set its close to true. That way we'll have a close button. And then underneath of it, we'll set its gravity to bottom. So it's going to be at the bottom of our Shopify store, so bottom. And after the gravity, we'll set its position to left. Supposed to be a string, and then set it to left. And then after the position, we'll set its background color to white. So background color, set it to white. And then after the background color, we'll create the style, and we'll set it to an object. And then inside of it, we'll set its width to 400 pixels. So create a string, and then 400 pixels. And then after the width, we'll set its color, supposed to be comma, and then color. And then we can just set it to black. And I think that's good. So after the style, we'll set the stop on focus to true. So this will allow you to, not close the toast if you hover it. So it's not going to disappear if you hover it. So after the stop on focus, we can set the escape markup to false. So this will allow you to use paragraph tags inside of the text. So let's just set a paragraph tag or create a paragraph tag here. Make sure that you close it here as well. And if I save this, and if we go back to our Shopify store, and if we refresh our page, we should have a toast window right over here. So there you go. As you can see, we have the, I'll just close the preview. I don't need that. And there you go. As you can see, we have these, someone bought this item toast. But anyway, let's just continue and display a lot of toast window depending on the number of products that we set here in the customizer page. So since we have like 3 products set here, it should display 3 toast windows. So let's just go back to the theme editor, and then we're going to create a for tag. So for each block inside of our section .blocks, make sure they close it right over here underneath of the closing script. Create the and for tag. So and for. So let's just indent all of this properly like that. And then inside of this for tag, we're going to create an assign tag to create the variable for the product. So I'm going to create an assign tag, and then I'll call it product. And then for its value, I'll use the section or the block dot settings dot selected product. So basically, the value of the block is your setting. So here you have the settings, and you're supposed to select the selected product setting. So block.settings.selected product, and it should have a value which is your your product here. So Reloyo 2021, this one. So all of those will be selected inside of the for loop. So let's just go back to the code editor and then close the assign tag. And then now that we have the product, we can just use the product object here in the text. So after the set of dot symbol, so someone bought, let's just use here a bold tag. I'll use another closing bold tag. And here inside of the bold tag, I'm going to use the object product. And then I'll use the title attribute. But I'm also going to use a filter called truncate. And I'll set it to 20, or let's set it to 25. So basically, all of our products will have a really long title. And then I want it to be shorter. That way, our toast window will be much smaller. I don't want it to be so big. So I'll set it to 25. Just cut the title to 25 characters. And if I save this, and if I go back to our Shopify store and refresh the page, we should have 3 toast windows. There you go. So you can see we now have the someone bought the following product and so on. Now, if I hover the toast, it's not going to close because we are using the stop on focus attribute. So let's just go back to the theme code editor and let's just continue and use the avatar. So here in the avatar, we're going to use the product image. So create an object and we'll use the product.image, or supposed to be featured image. And then we're going to use the image URL filter. And then we'll just set it to medium. I don't want it to use a really large image. Now, if I save this, and if we go back to our Shopify store and refresh the page, our toast window should be using the images. So as you can see, now we have the avatar. Now it looks really small. I don't like it. So let's just customize this using CSS. So let's go back to our code editor, and above the for tag, I'm going to create a style. Make sure that you close the style tag. And then inside of this, we're going to use the Toastify class. And then we'll set its display to flex. And make sure that you set it to important. So important. And after that, we'll set its justify content to space between. And then after that, we'll set its flex direction. So flex hyphen direction. And we'll set it to reverse. So row reverse. Now if I save this and if we go back to our Shopify store and refresh the page, this time we should have the following output. So as you can see, now we have the image on the left side, the title in the middle, and then the close button on the right side. So let's just maximize the width of our image. So go back to your theme editor, and then underneath of the div Toastify, we're going to select another selector, and it's supposed to be image.toastify -avatar. And then inside of it, we're going to set its width to 7.5 rem, and make sure that you're using important. And we'll do the same thing to its height. So height, set it to 7.5 rem and use the important. Save it. Let's go back to our Shopify store and refresh the page. And this time we should have the following toast window. So as you can see, the images are much bigger, or yeah, it's bigger. Okay, so the next item we're going to do is to display the toast window randomly, or I want it to be displayed after a couple of seconds. I don't want it to be displayed as soon as I refresh the page. So I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be displayed after a couple of seconds, maybe randomly, after 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, and so on. I don't want it to be like that. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's go back to the theme code editor, and then underneath of the for loop, we're going to create another script tag. So script, make sure they close the script tag. And then inside of it, we're going to create a variable and call it timer. And then for its value, we're going to use the random function. So random, and then we're going to multiply this by maximum and then minimum. So you can either create a setting for that, or you can just, let's create a setting. So here in the settings, I'm going to create 2 schema settings. So create an object, And then inside of it, I'm going to set its type to number. And then for its ID, I'll set it to maximum time. And then for its value, so default, I'll set it to 10,000 or 10 seconds. So 10,000. And then make sure that you set its label. So label, you can just give it a label like maximum time. And then don't forget to add comma. And then let's just do the same thing to the minimum. So let's just duplicate this, just like that. And don't forget to get rid of the comma. And then change the ID to minimum time. And then for its value, we'll set it to 0. Save it. Let's go back to our customizer page and refresh the page. And then here, let's select the sales pop-up notification. And here we should have the maximum time and then the minimum time. It's supposed to be minimum time. So we can just replace that with min time. Save it. And then we don't need to refresh this. So as you can see, now we have the maximum millisecond and then the minimum millisecond. So we can just use the value of this in our JavaScript code. So here in the timer, we'll use the object section.settings. So section.settings, and then we'll use the max, supposed to be maximum time. So maximum time. Make sure that you're using the right ID, okay? So copy the ID and paste it here. So section.settings.maximum time. So let's just fix the object. Okay. So parentheses and double opening curly braces and double closing curly braces. And then we'll just minus it or subtract it with the minimum time. So let's just do the same thing. Create a set of curly braces and then use the section.settings.minimum time. And then after that, make sure that you close the parentheses for this one. And then we're going to subtract this once again with the section.settings.minimum time. So create a set of curly braces and then section.settings.minimum time. And then make sure that you end this with semicolon. So again, for the value of the timer variable, we have the math.random function, and then we're going to multiply it with this parenthesis. So basically 10,000 minus 0, it's going to be 10,000 minus 0, and it's going to be multiplied. So math.random times 1,000, then that's the timer. That's the time that we're going to need to display the toast window. So underneath of this variable, we're going to create a function. Let's create a function, and we'll just call it show product sale. Why is it doing it like this? And then for this function, we'll just do the same thing. I'm going to copy the timer and paste it right over here. And then underneath of it, I'm going to use the function called set timeout. And then I'm going to use the function called show product sale, which is the product that we created. So basically inside of this function, I am using again the function. So it's going to be looping again and again and again. And then after this, I'm going to use the timer. So I want to use the function show product sale after the timer. Say for example, the value of timer is 5 seconds. So I'm going to use the function show product sale after 5 seconds. And then I'm going to use the set timeout once again outside of the function show product sale here. So let's just end it with semicolon, this one too. So basically what's happening here is that we're creating the timer variable and we're giving it a random number or integer. And then after that, we're going to call the show product sale. And then inside of this function, we're using the set timeout function once again to call the same function. So it's going to keep looping and looping and looping with a different timer. So sometimes it's going to be 5 seconds, sometimes going to be 10 seconds, sometimes 2 seconds, 4, 6, 7, and so on. So that should work now, but the problem is, how can we use the Toastify function? So we're going to apply this function in a variable. So I'm going to create a variable here, and I'll call it Toastify, or you know what, let's just call it product toast. And then we'll just pass here the Toastify function, and we'll get rid of the show toast because I don't want to show the toast after we loop or we created the loop. So after that, inside of the show product sale, inside of it, we're going to use the toast variable. So here we'll use the product toast and then use the show toast function. Now, if I save this, it's not going to work. It's going to display the last toast. So if I open our Shopify store and refresh the page, it's only going to display one toast window. So let's wait for it. And as you can see, it displayed 2, and that's because we are using the same function again and again. It's going to repeat the same function again. So you can just take a look at it. It's going to display the same product. So that's what we're going to fix next. We're going to display a different product each iteration. So let's go back to the code editor. And what we're going to do is to use a handle here in our variable. So instead of calling it product toast, I'm going to call it a different name. So instead of product toast, I'm going to use an object here, and we're going to use the product.handle. Or you know what? Let's just create a variable. So I'm going to create a new variable here. So I'm going to use the assign tag. So assign, and then I'm going to call it var name. And then for its value, I'm going to use the product.handle. And then we're going to use the filter called truncate. And I'll just set it to 8. And then after the truncate filter, I'm going to use the replace filter to replace the hyphens with underscore. So here I'll use the hyphen because the handle, it will have the handle of the product. So most of them will have hyphen. So hyphen and replace that with underscore. So underscore. So let's just close the assign tag and then use the var name here in the let. So var name, but we're not done yet. I want to start the variable name with an underscore. So here, create an underscore. So basically, the value of this, the name of the variable, it's going to be, say for example, let's use the WeeklyHow watch. So it's going to be something like this. So underscore WeeklyHow. That's the name of the variable. So that's the whole point where we're creating the following var name, and then we're creating an underscore, because some variables will start with number, and you're not allowed to use numbers in variable names. So make sure that you start your variables with underscore. So yeah, the next thing that we're going to do is to use this variable name here in our script. But before we do that, since we are using Liquid, we can't access the variable name from Liquid to JavaScript. That's not allowed. So what we're going to do is to convert the variable of Liquid to a variable of JavaScript. So how can we do that? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to loop through the blocks and then create an array of variable names. So here underneath of the style, we'll just use the same for tag here, and then make sure that you close it with an and for. So and for. And then inside of this for, we'll just create an assign tag. Let's just use the product variable, and then we're going to use the block.settings. Yeah, block.settings that selected product. Make sure they close the assign tag. And then after this, we're going to create another assign tag. So assign, and then it's going to be var name again. And then we're going to use the product handle. So product.handle. And then we're going to use the same truncate function or filter. So truncate, and we'll set it to 8. And then, you know what? We forgot something here in the truncate. We'll replace this with, instead of ... we'll replace this with empty string. So here in the truncate as well, we'll replace this with an empty string. And there you go. So next up, after the truncate, we'll use the replace filter. So replace, and then we'll replace the hyphens with underscore. So hyphen, and then replace that with underscore, just like that. And don't forget to close the assign tag. And then after this, we're going to concatenate a string. So I'm going to use an object here, and then I'll set it to an empty string. And then I'm going to use the concat filter or append, supposed to be append. It's going to be a string. And then we're going to concatenate the var name. And then after the concatenation or appending, we're going to append another string and supposed to be comma. Because what's happening here is that I want to get the variable name. So say for example, the first loop, the name of the product is Reloyo, right? And then after that, add comma. And then the next name, say for example, we have example, and then comma, because we have here an append, comma. And then after that, go to the next loop and next product. Say for example, we have product, that's the name of the product, and then comma. So basically we will have the following string. But how can we get the following string? We're going to use the capture tag. So here above the for tag, we're going to use the capture, and its name, it's going to be var name array. We'll just call it that way. And then make sure they close the capture tag. So capture, and after that, we'll use and capture. Now we have a problem here, and that's because now we're using capture tag. Now it's going to capture not just the new lines, but also the tab that we created here. So we have a tab here, we also have a tab here, we also have a set of tabs here. So it's going to capture that as well. So the value of var name array is going to be the name of the product, tab, new line, the name of the next product, and so on. So to fix that, we're going to use hyphen at the beginning of the capture tag. So hyphen, and make sure they close this as well with an hyphen. This one as well for the for, use hyphen, hyphen. For the assign tag, use hyphen, hyphen, hyphen. Basically, use hyphens to all of the object and then tags. So we'll use here as well, and for the end capture. Okay, so now that we have the variable name array, we can use this in our JavaScript, and then we're going to use a JavaScript function to make it an actual array. So go back here, and after the end4, after the end4, we're going to create another script, and this is going to be for the array. So script, and then inside of the script tag, let me just scroll down, and then inside of this, I'm going to create a variable and call it names, and then for its value, it's going to be a string, and then we're going to use the object var name array, and then we're going to use a filter called strip to get rid of the white spaces, next line, tabs, and so on. But we're not done yet. We'll just strip all of the next lines, tabs, and spaces using another filter called strip underscore new lines, because sometimes the strip filter will not strip spaces. So let's just make sure everything is stripped. So after that, now that we have the names, we can just use the function called split to make it an array. So create a new variable. It's going to be let and call it array names. And then here we'll use the names dot split, and we'll split it by comma, just like that. So end it with semicolon, and then we'll just use the array names and then use the pop function to get rid of the last key, because all of the names of the product will end with a comma. So if we use the split function, the last comma will have another element. So we need to get rid of that element using the pop function. So now that we have the array names, we can use this here in our function show product sale. So we're going to use not the product toast show toast, we're going to use a function called evaluate, so eval, and then it's going to be a string, and then here we'll start with underscore, and that's because here we started with underscore and then the name of the variable. So here let's just go back to eval, and then we're going to concatenate it with array names. And since this is an array, we need to select an element. So it's going to be a random element. So it's going to be an array, and I want to select a random element. So we're going to use the same function math.random, And then we're going to multiply it with the maximum and then the minimum. So it's going to be the length of the array. So array names dot length minus 0 and then minus 0 once again. So minus 0. But since we are using math random, it's going to have decimal points. So we're going to use another math function. It's going to be floor. So math floor. So let's just double check everything. This is the opening of the math floor and it doesn't have any parentheses. So let's just close this once again. Okay, so math floor. Let me just double check. So array names. Okay, so we have a problem. Supposed to be inside of the bracket. Okay, so that's the math floor, math random. This is going to be the parenthesis of the array names dot length, and then this is the closing of the val, and we have a parenthesis that we don't need. There you go. So double check your parentheses, your open and close brackets, and so on. Okay, so now that we have the name of the variable, the next that we're going to do is to use the show toast function. So after the array names, we're going to concatenate the function. So add plus symbol and then double quotes. And then we're going to use the dot show toast function. So basically the value of this will be something like underscore relogio dot show toast. So that's going to be the output of this. So let's just get rid of this and I'm going to save this. And if we go back to our Shopify store and refresh the page, and there you go, as you can see we have a random product and it's going to create another toast window and it should use another product. So it's still using, there you go. So now we have a new product, masculino. There you go, I have a new product. There you go. And it's showing randomly, so it's not consistent. It's going to display after 5 seconds, after 2 seconds, after 6 seconds, and so on. So there you have it, guys. That's how you create a sale pop-up notification without using Shopify apps or installing Shopify apps. So it's honestly really, really easy. It looks like we took a lot of time, but not really. It can take just 20 minutes and you'll be able to create the following output. So there you have it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting the like button and subscribe for more Shopify theme development videos. Again, shout out to Shopify for sending me this amazing t-shirt. It's really comfortable and I really, really like it. And yeah, again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.